All right. Yes. Okay. Tanel stole my tagline earlier with hacking for fun and profit, but I'll accept that. First, so trying to get this quickly here. Thanks to everybody for putting this on, and Oaktable. All you guys have helped me in the past, and hopefully I've helped you as well. Thanks for asking me to speak, and thanks for everybody for coming. About me real quick, I'm the VP of Software Architecture for one of the top 10 social networks in the US, one you've never heard of. But my background is in data structures, algorithms, database internals, that kind of stuff. I've contributed to a lot of different open source stuff. I haven't blogged in a while, so sometimes people say, why haven't I heard of you? And that's because, I used to be a spy. Not really. But I generally do a lot of the behind the scenes, black ops performance or reverse engineering work, especially with Oracle. My qualifications, I've worked on every type of database engine around, developing it, and I've worked on Oracle since 1999, researching how it works. I've written a lot of the cool, data unloader, redo log parser, all the stuff. So everybody that knows me, I often sound like, and I heavily use memes if you can't tell, and they're US memes, so I'm sorry if they don't translate, but I'm very big on performance. Most of the services I write are process about 5 billion transactions a day, and the 95th execution times are 900 microseconds. So I may or may not be obsessed with performance, but that's not what I'm here to talk to you about today, unlike every other time. Here to tell you a story. So back when I was 17, I was the IT director for a regional supermarket chain, and we had this application that was an item movement tracking database that ran on Oracle. Well, the company didn't want to pay for Oracle anymore, so they're like, hey, make this work with something else. So MySQL was really not mature at all then, and Postgres was around, so I tried to move it to Postgres, but I first wanted to see what the options were, so I called the company, said, hey, what does this run on? And I found out the company's actually out of business, so I wasn't, very happy at that time. But, I'm 17, I'm like, this is awesome, no problem, right? I'll come up with a plan. Most people would call it an overly optimistic plan. Today I would call it naive. But it went something like this. Just gonna dump the network traffic, right, between the app and Oracle. I'm gonna analyze it. I'm going to write a compatible proxy for it. I'm gonna implement some functions identical to the PL SQL, and the end of every plan should be profit, right? And I said, this should take like a month, no problem, right? I'm 17, so, 2 weeks later after this plan, I had gotten nowhere, right? I figured Oracle would be pretty simple. I'd done some work with Ingress and things in the past, so, network protocol, no problem. 2 weeks later, I hadn't really figured out anything. Because how do we reverse engineer network protocols? Has anybody here ever reverse engineered a network protocol? It's a very painful thing. So the obligatory hex dump, right? Not especially helpful, when you have the side with the ASCII, at least you can kind of see the query in there, but not really helpful by itself. So I like math and statistics in general, so I said, hey, I'm gonna write a test suite that just generates a hell of a lot of different queries with lots of different OCI options, and I'll just use statistics to cluster those and find out at least what the commonalities are. I still do that to this day because I still haven't figured it all out. But if you want to look at like sort of a basic packet, and over time some of the details have come out, but not really. But basic Oracle packets are structured into multiple parts. They're all layered. TNS layer, TTI, TTC layer, and OPI. So if you look at that one packet, right, these components. So if you look at TNS, and this changes a little bit in 12c with larger packet sizes, but you kind of have each of the components, which are the envelope of the packet. You have the TTI layer, which kind of says what's going. That's used for a lot of different things, but in this case, is used to issue a query. The actual query packet, and in Tanel's talk earlier, it kind of went over the top level calls, and this is where they come from. So the actual call to execute the query or fetch data or whatever. And then in this case, it had a bind variable, so it sent the bind variable. But this research has taken many, many years. Started in 1999, I'm still doing it. But I left that company, and a few years later, I got a call from another company that was trying to make an Oracle compatible database called Enterprise DB. And I got to work on these cool projects with Fortune 50, 100s, and 500s. And they gladly sent us 100+ page incompatibility documents about what we could add to our product to make it more compatible with Oracle. We never did that, and somehow they're still in business. But anyway, so their solution was write a lot of software. Everybody uses SQL+, everybody uses blah, 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 blah. We'll just write same versions of them. Anybody that's a developer knows more code, more bugs, more problems. So this didn't last long. And their solution for people was, we'll just train all the Oracle DBAs in Postgres or MySQL, no problem, right? Well, I did that for a couple of years. And when you go into a financial and you're like, hey, so I know you're using Oracle 10. Have you ever used Oracle 6? Because that's pretty much what you're doing when you're managing Postgres. People are not too happy about that. So findings were, right, most applications that are written, sadly, and even ones that are written for Oracle, don't really take advantage of Oracle. A lot of them just expect the database to be a commodity. And of course, the people that are really trained in those systems hate to switch to something else. So how do we get around that? So one thing that I've been working on is low-level compatibility. And this is at the network layer, where you probably haven't seen any presentations before. But what I'm trying to do is solve application expectations of the database being a commodity and allowing DBAs and devs to use the knowledge they already have. Because, right, we don't have time to learn every new thing that comes out. So the project I've been working on is basically a proxy that allows multiple types of databases to appear to be another system and communicate interoperably with each other. So each of these systems I have some degree of support for. So for example, one of the things that I always like to do, MySQL has a command line utility, Postgres has a command line utility, SQL Server's command line, Oracle writes SQL+. I don't like to switch between them. I want to just keep one. So pass-through mode allows me to emulate the server and talk to any other database, and I'll show you an example of that here. And then from a compatibility perspective, I want to be able to sort of, sure, SQL is standard, but there's a lot of dialects that are unique. So trying to translate SQL on the fly as well. So using SQL+ with MySQL. So I have a MySQL server because, hey, that's the new hotness. Somebody brought it in, installed it, and expects me to manage it. I just want to use SQL+. I don't want to learn all the MySQL crap. So what the proxy does is it basically sits there in the middle, and it actually acts like the Oracle server and lets you use SQL+ to connect to the proxy. SQL+ thinks it's talking to Oracle. You can issue any query that would execute against MySQL. It will do that on your behalf and then translate it back to what the Oracle client expects, so you could just continue to use any Oracle tool you're using. The same works the opposite direction. So if you want to use any of the MySQL tools with Oracle, you can do that. The way that things used to be done in the past, which Oracle actually just implemented this a year ago, is to write a wrapper library for the underlying C network implementation. So they wrote one that was compatible with Oracle, but you can do it either way. And basically it's exactly the same. You could throw any server or client on either side of this, and it works. So the reason I wanted to talk about this with you guys was the plan is to release in freely available tool that'll allow you guys to analyze what's actually happening on the network layer, because Oracle doesn't really tell you that very well. The trace assistant's not great. And to give you guys, the plan is to give you guys a free proxy you can use to do this, and so you can continue to use your tools with any of the other systems that come in. And a lot of it even works with NoSQL. I can do SQL+ to Redis as well. And for a select few of you, if you really need it, I've written a Wireshark dissector. So if you are interested, talk to me about that. But I need your help, right? The main thing I need are real world use cases. I can test a lot of different things. I have a lot of test suites, but how people are actually using this or would use this are important. Tanel and I were talking about heterogeneous services. Because I can make any server appear to be Oracle, it's actually much faster in a lot of cases than using Oracle's connectors for database links. And those are just some technical challenges I have. If you want more information on the protocol itself, I'm doing a deep dive talk then. But other than that, that's all I got.